I think the image that will sustain my wrestling fandom this week is good old KAIRI SANE stomping the women's right. Let's talk about NXT. What's going on, everybody? It's your buddy, it's your pal Spaz Phoenix, the YWC Reality Check, here with your June 6th, 2018 NXT review. Before I get there, yeah, I'm going to do the house cleaning or whatever, but specifically, and I really want to hammer this home, go check out one video before this one. Sat down with my good friend Kristen, aka Black Cat Feline, and we did a fantasy booking video as part of the Off the Cuff series. We fantasy booked an entire women's tag team division. It was a lot of fun. It's just for fun, because apparently that's not happening anymore, but apparently it's not showing up in people's sub boxes, etc. So if that sort of thing, the fantasy booking, the women's tag division, etc., if those topics are appealing to you, go back one video, check out the video. It was a lot of fun. Shout out to Black Cat Feline. Go check her out on Twitter and Instagram, etc. If you're new to the channel, go up there to the annotation, check out the playlists for previous NXT reviews. Check out playlists for the Q&A, check out the playlist for Aftermath, check out other off-the-cuff series in that playlist, etc. And welcome, you know, like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff that us YouTubers tell us to do all the time. This NXT was coming off the heels of that great scene last week with Shayna Baszler and Nikki Cross, which I thought was great, which was one of the best things this year. I mean, Raw and SmackDown are shit right now, let's be real for a second, but it really was. It was the maniacal nature of Nikki Cross, you know, that sort of old school Mick Foley, Dean Ambrose when he was good before he got boring. I don't give a shit. I fancy having the championship, so I do type thing. But Shayna Baszler comes out to Queen of Spades chants, which is awesome. Talks about Dakota's win, you know, typical bully talk, talking about how a big girl will always beat a small girl, etc. And, you know, everybody that, fuck. It's late in the day, guys, as usual. As long as I'm the champion, everybody else is going to be competing for number 2, is the thing. I can't read my own writing, so I'm rambling a little bit. I'm sorry, it's been a really, really long day. Work was long, so if I'm pausing, if I get lost in my own thoughts, I do apologize. But there's always that one person that thinks the rules don't apply to them, and immediately the Queen of Spades chants turn into Nikki chants. You know, she gets in my face last week, and that's the last thing you should ever do. Last week, your little fake win was a joke. Nikki Cross comes out to the Nikki's gonna kill you chants. Now, it's really, really cool, but the gonna kill you chants, like the Joe's gonna kill you chant, I can't think of anybody else off the top of my head that used to get it, but like Ronda's gonna kill you. Like it's becoming cliche. It works in this case because Nikki Cross is fucking insane and we love her. But in general, and yes, NXT is a smarky crowd, but the gonna kill you chant is getting a bit old. Nikki Cross doesn't say anything for the longest time. She's literally, you can see her, like she's in the crazy role and it's great. And she has the same music still. They've changed up her Tron so that it's just her. But you can see her, she's so into the crazy gimmick that she's just pulsing at ringside, and she's just staring down Shayna Baszler, and she's not saying anything, and Shayna Baszler's like, you know, trying to act like she's not fazed by it, you know, and then she eventually says, "Are you fucking crazy?" She doesn't say fucking, obviously, because WWE. But as soon as she says, "Are you crazy?" the entire Full Sail crowd erupts with yes chants, which is great. Eventually, she says, "Go ahead and say something," and she throws her the mic, because she says, you know, I could break your arm, I'm going to end you, you know, if you try that one more time, it's going to be the last thing you ever do. And Nikki Cross, just without even missing a beat, picks up the microphone, you know, do it. Do it. Do it. Just keeps challenging her and challenging her and challenging her, and then she gets her with a jump scare, which is fucking great. She jumps forward, Shayna Baszler jumps back, and it's the funniest thing you will probably see on this show. Hits her with a Thez press, mounted punches, corner beat down in a mud hole stomp, forearm by Nikki Cross, and she hits the Nikki Cross body, which is fucking great. Baszler bails up the rampway, but not before the camera gets really, really close to her face and realize not only is she bailing from Nikki Cross 2 weeks in a row, Nikki busted her mouth open, which is fucking wonderful. Later on in the night, it is confirmed that we are getting Nikki Cross versus Shayna Baszler at TakeOver Chicago, which is one of those, for me anyways, it's one of those, A, if I wasn't getting the pay-per-view already, I would get it now. B, all you people that fucking lost your shit that she didn't come up with the rest of Sanity to the main roster, which hasn't happened yet anyway, this is why. And people that asked me why I didn't freak out, you know, hey Spaz, you're a big fan of Nikki Cross, how come you're not pissed off that she's not going to the main roster? Because I didn't, as I've said before, I didn't want her to get the Alexa Bliss treatment, and she's not, because clearly she's going for the title, clearly she's going to get it eventually. It's all good. It's announced, and it's kind of funny because I heard the song last week. I actually talked about it on last week's episode of NXT. Hailstorm's new song, Unbreakable, from the album. I think the album's called Vicious. Don't quote me on that, but it's one of the themes for TakeOver Chicago, which makes me happy, which made me immediately go out on Twitter and be like, hey, Lizzie Hale, Hailstorm, why don't you come perform live at the show? We saw Lizzie Hale do the theme for Ember Moon in her last NXT TakeOver match, and it was fucking wonderful. TM61 beat some jobbers, and TM61 is so important that this match got Let's Go Jobbers chance, which was great. They cheated with one of their knee braces to win the match. So TM61, who are apparently this big great team, need to cheat and use a weapon to beat jobbers. And then unfortunately somebody made the mistake of giving them a microphone. They cut random generic heel promo number 7, and we get on with the show. Sullivan is at the PC, and I know what they're trying to do here. I really do. I know I said I was down on the whole Black Sullivan match, and I am, because it's underwhelming, to say the least, and, you know, that stuff about Aleister Black being sort of downgraded as the champion is sort of becoming true, but they say, let's check out Lars Sullivan, you know, training at the PC, when really all he's doing is hitting the freak accident on lots of other trainees. It's great. I know what they're trying to do. Look at him mowing down all these people, but they're all, like, 5 foot nothing, 100 and nothing, and all he's doing is practicing his finisher. Realistically speaking, Roderick Strong versus Danny Burch. You know, continuing the feud between Roderick Strong, the Undisputed Era, Pete Dunne, Oney Lorcan, Danny Burch, that whole thing. When Bobby Fish comes back, it's going to be interesting, because are they going to be making up groups of 4 to take on the Undisputed Era? I don't know, but good match. Fun match. Danny Burch with the European style, the joint manipulation, all that sort of thing. You know I love it. But collar and elbow tie and a takedown by Strong and a headlock. Burch works the arm with an armbar and a key lock. Test of strength. Trip by Burch and another key lock. Tackle by Burch and a boot by Strong. Getting ahead of myself, obviously. Crossface with a post by Strong was nice because he's got the crossface, but he sort of brings his whole body in so he gets the knee in the back of the head. It's good. It's a vicious take on the move because it's a vicious take on Roderick Strong. Follows it up with chops and a backbreaker. Grounded front face lock by Strong and a comeback with body shots by Burch. Swear to God, I can't read my own writing. Sorry about that, guys. Standing drop kick by Strong and an abdominal stretch. Headbutt by Burch and a series of strikes and uppercuts by Burch. Release German suplex by Burch, but then all the focus goes to the outside. Out comes Lorcan, out comes Dunn, out comes Cole, out comes O'Reilly. They all brawl. In the confusion, backbreaker and a pinning combination by Strong gets the win. I think on commentary they called it a matchbox pin. It was a really sort of an inverted way to fold somebody up into a pin. It was really, really cool. But immediately after the match, while Roderick Strong is celebrating, he gets attacked by Pete Dunne, who was going to hit the name of the move that I can't remember at the moment, but the Undisputed Era. I keep wanting to say the Attitude Era, because all I wrote down was Era make the save, and for some reason that makes me want to say Attitude Era, but it's the Undisputed Era make the save, and Roderick Strong hits the end of Heartache, which is another pretty finishing maneuver, to finish off the segment. Here's the thing. I would love to say we're going to get Roderick Strong versus Pete Dunne at TakeOver, because that's what makes the most sense. But Roderick Strong is one of the tag team champions. He turned on Pete Dunne to get that tag team title, but he's busy defending his tag team championships with the other fucker, Kyle O'Reilly. They've already got a tag team title match at WrestleMania. So if you want Pete Dunne to still take on the Undisputed Era in general to keep that story going, why don't you do NXT North American Champion versus WWE United Kingdom Champion, champion versus champion at TakeOver? I don't think they're going to do it. The card is already stacked, which we're going to talk about in a second, but I think it would be really, really good. In the back, Cassius Ohno is having a photo shoot for reasons. EC3 comes along and points out how stupid that is, and they're having a match next week, which is fantastic because EC3 is going to kill him, and I'm going to smile a whole bunch. Video packages. NXT does great video packages. We like great video packages. You want video packages? We'll give you a Sullivan and Black at TakeOver video package. We'll give you a Dream and Ricochet video package for TakeOver. I'll give you 3 guesses and the first 2 don't count, which match I'm looking more forward to. KAIRI SANE versus Lacey Evans in the match of the night, in the match that made me smile a whole fucking lot. KAIRI SANE, Lacey Evans. Lacey Evans makes a point of saying she's got a women's right with KAIRI SANE's name on it, and to punctuate that, she's written KAIRI SANE's name on her hand in marker. KAIRI SANE and the women's right can fuck the fuck off. Oh yes. Collar double type, and Sane works the hand and arm early. Head scissor by Sane, who immediately stomps on the women's right, which makes me smile a whole fucking lot. Head scissor by Sane stomping on the hand. Slingshot elbow by Evans, which was decent, but then she immediately goes back to sucking with a really messy looking headlock choke thing. Pump handle style takedown by Sane, followed by a boot by Evans and a slam. Evans is bigger and stronger. I will give her that. The slam looked okay. Evans misses the moonsault, which means she face plants, which means I laugh a whole fucking lot. 3 interceptors by Sane, a phenomenal forearm, an arm bar, and an Alabama slam, and an insane elbow. Bing, bang, boom. KAIRI Sane's your winner. Lacey Evans, as I say, can fuck the fuck off. Oh, yes. Tommaso Ciampa, Grey Star television screens this week, and that's basically all I really need to say for this segment. He comes out, he does cut a promo. He's talking about how people all gave up on him before he gave up on them. The fans all discussed him. You can listen to me. I'm going to say what I need to say, or you can try to shout over me. Gargano loves to steal the spotlight. He even almost crippled his wife in an effort to steal the spotlight. Anything that happened to her is your fault. He attacked me. I was just defending myself. You know, don't show up at the pay-per-view. Your fairy tale is over. I've already won. Da-da-da-da. The content, as good as the promo is, the content of this promo isn't what made this segment great. What made this segment great was the crowd was eating Tommaso Ciampa alive. Johnny Wrestling chants, Psycho Killer chants, Johnny's better, Johnny badass, you tapped out, the whole fucking deal. And every time it would swell, he just sort of sat back, propped himself up on the turnbuckle like it was a fucking recliner, and just said, yeah, that's cute, that's wonderful, that's great. Are you proud of yourself? And even when they were chanting for him, he told him to take the Psycho Killer chants and go stick it, which is great. Gargano rushes the ring. Obviously, Ciampa bails. Suicide dive by Gargano, and they brawl in the crowd. They dive out of the stands. Once they're back in the ring, Tommaso Ciampa gets one cheap shot on him and locks in. You love this. Locks in the Ciampa escape. Oh yes, they brawl up the rampway once again. Once they've been separated, Ciampa eats all the LED board until his head and face are busted open. The Gargano escape gets locked on, and that's the last image we see as we end the show. Once again, another match I want to see more than Sullivan versus Black. I feel bad for Black. He should have a more high-profile match than Lars Sullivan. Lars Sullivan should be kissing the ass of everybody that's put him in the spot that he's in right now. But, more importantly, TakeOver Chicago in about a week and a half. We got Black versus Sullivan, whether we like it or not. Undisputed Era versus Lorcan and Burch, which is fine and wonderful, and I don't think they're going to win, but good for Lorcan and Burch for getting some pay-per-view time. It boggles my mind, as I said before, that they're not doing Cole versus Dunn, at least not yet. We finally got Cross and Baszler confirmed. We got Ricochet versus Dream, which we all know about, and we got Gargano and Ciampa, who are going to steal the fucking show. A whole lot of good happened tonight. You know, TM61 came and took up some of our TV time and went, and there wasn't really any consequence to any of it. Lacey Evans got put down, as she should. It's all fucking good. Guys, this was a pretty great show. I look back, as I said last week, I look back 2 or 3 weeks ago to where they were making some really, really questionable decisions. They've done a complete about face, and it's fucking wonderful. And every episode of NXT, even the bad ones, every episode of NXT I watch reminds me why I don't review Raw and SmackDown. I might sound like a super angry, bitter asshole, like a certain friend of ours in New York, if I had to review Raw and SmackDown. Oh, yes, but that's been it. For me, that's all there is to say about NXT. There's less to talk about on NXT when I just have to come up here and say, this was a fucking great show, and I'm looking forward to TakeOver. Anyways, I've been Spaz, your YWC Reality Check. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, keep all these conversations going. Don't be a stranger. I'll talk to each and every last one of you later, but for right now, I am tagging out. Bye, guys.
Don't apologize, they can hold you down. You're a freak,